Welcome to Conversations. I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan, and I want to highlight a few uh, interesting observations on the shifts in global economy and changes that we are seeing in global trade and growth of global GDP. Uh, I, I did a more comprehensive analysis of the UNCTAD report, the July UNCTAD report in Hindi. For those who are interested and can follow Hindi, can follow that. But in this English version, I'm just going to point out to two or three things that I found quite interesting, which nobody apparently in the Western media is paying attention to uh, for interesting political reasons, I guess. But I did want to highlight that a little bit about Russia, about Iran, Brazil. So it's not like an analysis of any report, but just three or four facts. But before that, if you have not subscribed to Conversations yet, please subscribe to Conversations, like this video, press the bell icon, and share this video with others. So the first thing that I wanted to highlight was the World Bank report, which has come out to say that there are three countries which have moved up the income ladder. So there are four categories of World Bank's: low income, lower middle income, upper middle income, and high income. In order to be a high income economy, your per capita income has to be more than $14,000. And apparently, there are three countries which have now shifted from upper middle income to high income, and they are Bulgaria, Russia, and Palau. Let me say that again, Russian Federation. So in spite of all the sanctions that have been imposed by the United States and the European Union and all the allies in the world who are so worried about and angry and wishing to end Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, in spite of all of that, the delinking, the cutting off of trade, the ending the buying of Russian energy in Europe, and then forcing other countries also to try and not buy Russian energy, they have grown and become a high income economy. That is astonishing to me, that in spite of everything that has been done to the Russian economy, the Russians have now become a high income economy. So that is one startling thing. And if you notice, another thing that I will point out to with regards to Russia. But before that, this report also shows something very interesting, that the only one country or territories, West Bank and Gaza, have actually moved from upper middle income to lower middle income. The only negative shift that we see globally, thanks to the US supported Israeli response in Gaza and West Bank to the horrific attacks from Hamas. So on October 7th, so the incessant bombing and brutal devastation of Gaza and West Bank that has been going on for the past 7-8 months has resulted, obviously, in West Bank and Gaza shifting from upper middle income to lower middle income. But the other country, Iran, also is the target of unbelievable amount of US sanctions and European sanctions, has also moved from lower middle income to upper middle income economy. And I find that very surprising and stunning. So the message, I guess, the world is going to get from this is, don't be afraid of US and Western sanctions. They cannot impede your growth and development. It's of course possible that if those sanctions were not there, these countries would have grown faster and have become bigger economies. But the message is that the US and the West has lost the capacity to hurt you economically if you are able to move up the ladder of income. So that is the astonishing point that I wanted to make, one astonishing point. The other is, if you look at the UNCTAD report, in its highlights, it says that the global trade growth was driven by increased exports from China, India, and the United States. And of course, it also highlights the fact that Europe and Africa are disappointing. There is no positive growth in trade or goods and services exports, but the global trade is normalizing and growing thanks to exports from China, India, and the United States. But if you go and actually look at the exports, So the exports that they are talking about are goods. So if you look at the goods exports, China's obviously exports in goods have grown by 9%, India by 7%, the United States by 3%. But what the report does not highlight is the Russian Federation's goods exports have increased by 4%. So in percentage terms, its economy is doing better than the US when it comes to export of goods. So that is another interesting thing that, of course, UNCTAD doesn't want to highlight that, but it is an indication of the failure of the Ukraine-Russia policy, at least the economic side of the warfare. So that is a very stunning fact that Russia is now exporting goods which are more than that of the United States. I find that an interesting, so I wanted to share that with you all. And then there is another set of data that the report, the UNCTAD report, provides. It is about dependency of one country on another on the basis of trade. So if you look at it, the biggest dependency growth in this quarter has been that of Russia. Russia's dependency on China has increased by 5.8%. So this argument that the longer this war goes, and the more the West tries to isolate Russia, the more dependent it's going to become on China. It will eventually become a vassal state of China. Looks like we are heading in that direction. As you can see that in this quarter, the first quarter in 2024, the country that has become most dependent on another country is Russia on China. But while we are talking about dependency, I want to point out to you that to take a look at Brazil, the second highest increase in dependencies of Brazil on China. And if you look at the data on decrease, you will notice that the third highest reduction in dependency is Brazil's dependency on the United States. So what you're seeing here is Brazil is getting less and less dependent on the US. So there's sort of a delinking going on, and is becoming more and more dependent on China. And not only that, Brazil's dependency on the European Union is also declining. So to me, that was very interesting to show that not of the BRIC countries, but two of the more important countries, Russia and Brazil, are also becoming dependent on China. Even India has increased its dependence on China. So the BRICS is serving as an economic integrator with China at the core of this economic integration. So that's an interesting observation. And one more final observation that I want to make here is, if you look at Vietnam, the fourth most dependency that has increased is China. Now, why is Vietnam important? Because increasingly, as people are talking about friendshoring and moving away manufacturing out of China, this is a geopolitical reasons in order to basically curtail or undermine dependency on China and to diversify supply chains. More and more countries are moving manufacturing out of China, but guess where they're going? They're going to Vietnam and Mexico. And if you look at Vietnam, it is the fourth highest increase of dependency, and its dependency has increased on, obviously, China. And Vietnam's dependency on a US ally, Republic of South Korea, has decreased. So it appears in many, many ways that in this particular quarter, unfortunately, the revisionist states, China and Russia, have done economically very, very well. That's the point of this brief conversations. So please, if you found it interesting and thought-provoking, please subscribe to Khanversations, like this video, press the bell icon, and share this video with others. And until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Take care.